Hello, everyone. Welcome to Queerly Recommended, the podcast where we recommend queer books, films, TV shows, and more. I'm Kris Bryant, a contemporary romance writer for Bold Strokes Books, and this week I'm recommending a 2025 Netflix series.
And I'm Tara Scott. I review sapphic fiction at the Lesbian Review and Smart Bitches Trashy Books. And this week I'm recommending a couple of recently released sapphic romances. That's right. I'm breaking the rules.
Cheating.
I'm cheating. I'm recommending two things because, as some of you may have noticed, we missed a week. So I'm making up for it with another recommendation.
That's very good.
So Kathy Pegow, always the best. I put out a call for questions in case anybody had any on Blue Sky, and she said, "How are you doing?" Which is also what I want to know because I haven't talked to you in a month either.
I know.
Kris,
it has been a long time. Yes.
I know. It's too long. But how are you doing?
You know, I'm doing a lot better because all of my big projects at work are done.
Yay! You had some real big ones.
Oh, I had some doozies. Like they took up and sucked the life out of me for months. So here's what I did. I finished it and I said, let's go to New Orleans just because. Why not? So we went to New Orleans and I actually had dinner, met up with Allie Valley and her wife.
Nice.
So much fun.
Nice.
So we had a great time, but a terrible dinner.
Oh,
I know. We had dinner at, I think you pronounce it Emerald's.
Oh,
Bam!
like Emerald Lagasse?
Yeah, him. So his new restaurant down in, I think it's in Caesar's Palace or Caesar's whatever down there in New Orleans. So it wasn't that hard. Like there were 3 tables in the whole place. 3 tables. That's it.
Okay.
3 guests, 3 tables. That was it. Allie ordered food and she had some sort of steak. And then her wife had salmon. I ordered a salad and some turkey gumbo.
Okay.
And Deb had like sides, a couple sides. And we were splitting the gumbo and like a baguette with some butter. And so everybody got something except for me. And it's a salad. It's a warm goat cheese salad. Like it's salad.
Yeah.
So, you know, we kept asking, hey, where's my salad? Oh, it's coming, it's coming. And so everybody's done with their food. And where is my salad? Where's my salad? So Allie's wife's like, hey, well, not really. Hey, she was actually very nice about it. And she's like, excuse me, but like, we're almost done with our food. And she hasn't even, you know, nothing. No, where's her salad? It's a salad. And they're like, oh, we're sorry. We don't have lettuce. So we had to go out and go buy lettuce.
What?
And she's like, well, why didn't you say anything? Because she could have ordered something else. And then they finally, you know, so she's kind of like scolding them a little bit. And so they finally come out and they deliver the salad. And it is salty. It is so salty. And I take a bite. I'm like, wow, this is really salty. Why is it so salty? So I'm like, maybe I'm just being like picky or, you know, whatever. And so then I'm like, hey, Deb, try this. Is this salty? She's like, oh my God, that's terrible. Then I had everybody try it. And so then Caroline's like, yeah, we have a problem with the salad.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm
Did
like,
they at least comp you the meal?
Yes, they comped me the salad. And then I just said, you know what? I said, I just want the mousse now. I just want the chocolate mousse. Like, just bring out the mousse. The chocolate mousse was good. And the company was fantastic. I mean, we had a great time catching up. We stayed there for like almost 3 hours. It was amazing. It was a good time. Bad food, good time. Yeah, so that was fun. It was fun catching up. And then on the way home, we had Beale Street. We went to Memphis, stayed the night in Memphis on Beale Street. Let me tell you, I love the music. I love Memphis. I love Beale Street. I love the music. It was a great time. Like, it was so fun to get away and just relax after like 6 months of like just being on edge at my job. And it was just so nice to get away. So that was fun. Yeah.
Good.
And then this past weekend, I had another card show.
How'd you do? How'd it go? Because you said you needed to restock before you went too.
So it wasn't as lucrative as I wanted it to be, but it certainly paid for the weekend. And we actually stayed up in St. Joe. So St. Joseph, Missouri. Here's some history, because you're a history buff. I know that you are.
Sure.
But St. Joseph, Missouri is famous for several things. It is the birthplace of the Pony Express.
No way. That's
Yes,
cool.
yes, the Pony Express. You're welcome.
Very cool.
You're welcome. And so, like, St. Joe's probably like an hour and 10 minutes from where I live.
Mhm.
So we just decided to stay up there for the night and have fun, just like instead of like packing up and going all the way home and coming back. Yes.
Mhm.
So we just stayed up there. And it's also the site where Jesse James, the outlaw, was killed. So he was born in Kearney, Missouri, which is probably like half hour from St. Joe, and
Mhm.
then he died in St. Joe. And it's also they have a lot of historical architecture, the homes. It's like very
Mm.
well known for the historical architectural homes, if that's the right way to say it. I don't know, but it's amazing. Beautiful homes. We just kind of walked around and looked at them, and it's just like gorgeous. Like they have like places that look like castles. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of rural Missouri.
Yeah,
Like,
what is up with
what
that?
is happening? Like
That
they have
outlaw money.
beautiful houses. Yeah, outlaw money, exactly. But they have some really beautiful historical houses. And downtown was great. And apparently St. Joseph is very queer. They have a pride parade. And so we had
Very
dinner.
cool.
We walked down, we stayed at this little bed and breakfast, but actually we had this apartment upstairs. It was a
Mhm.
two-bedroom apartment. It reminded me so much of my sixplex that I lived in just north of Westport when I was a younger child, well, a younger young adult.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was just wonderful. It was you could walk down to the square. We had dinner, and then there was this like queer coffee shop. And I'm like, I wonder if they're open. And they were. So they made me an apricot peach tea, and all the queers came out. They were all hanging out. It was fantastic. It was lovely. And then I went back to the place, slept, and we got up and sold more cards.
Nice.
So yeah, so that was pretty much yeah. Oh, and also St. Joseph, like this is important too.
Okay.
It is also the training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Interesting.
There's a college up there and they use their training facility, their football.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I didn't
Historical and
know that.
contemporary.
Yes, it was such a surprise. Like I did not know all this about, I mean, I knew about the Pony Express, and I knew that the Chiefs go up there, but everything else was interesting to learn.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is my news. How are you doing and what is new in your life?
I am doing really well. A couple
Good.
big new things. So the first, I got a promotion at work. That was
Yes.
exciting. I have to do some hiring. I'm actually leading the
Oh,
function for like what I do for the first time. I've always been part of a team. I haven't led it before, but I'm excited about it because I
like
feel
a
like I'm ready.
boss.
Hmm. And then in what felt like not the best timing, we had a family vacation schedule and I was like, "Oh no, I just got promoted and I'm going on schedule." Or I mean, I'm going on vacation, but it actually worked out really, really well because I worked
Nice.
ahead and I got a bunch of stuff done. And then as a family, we went to Scotland. And that is why we missed an episode because I was out of the country for 2 weeks.
So
But I didn't
jealous.
want to announce it in advance because I didn't want to say, "Hey, come to my empty house."
With my brand new triple pane windows
With
and
my
break them.
exactly, exactly. Don't come to my house.
No.
So, it was so good. We went with Neil's mom and his sister and her family, so it was
Nice.
like cousin time, time with the grandmother, all of that. We spent a week on this, like, sleepy little island off the coast of
Oh.
Scotland, and it was so chill. Like, it was just the chillest thing ever. There were no big box stores. There were
Nice.
no recognizable brands. So it's all like tiny boutique shops and businesses and restaurants and
What'd you eat?
cafes. What did I eat? Oh my God. I had one of the best pizzas I've ever had in my life, which shocked
Really?
me.
In Scotland?
I know. So here was the thing that was funny. So one day, my oldest and I, we went for a walk. We said, we'll walk into town and go grab some lunch because we were staying on this little like resort villa, whatever thing. And we walked over to this hotel because we thought the sign said that they served lunch on that day of the week. But I get there and the woman at the bar is like, nope, sorry, but go back to the main street, go over to this place. The pizza's really good. And I get there, and then on the wall, they have a little plaque that in 2023, they won best pizza in all of Scotland.
Okay.
And then I got mine, and it had like It had figs and Parma ham, and it was incredible. I know it sounds
Nice.
nuts, but it's that little bit of like, it's the sweetness with the
Mm,
saltiness
mm,
of the, no, it's not Parma ham, it's prosciutto. So it's like the
okay.
figs with the prosciutto together were so good. Ate a lot of baked goods. They do baked
Do
goods
they?
well in Scotland. I learned the Bakewell tart. I am a big fan of the cherry Bakewell tarts. I ate too many of them. And then I got home and was like, oh no, I want some. So Neil actually went to the Scottish
No.
store here in Calgary and he found
I
some
love
for
it.
me. Now, the only heartbreaking thing is apparently they're not getting any more in until around Christmas. And I was like, excuse me,
Oh,
what?
wow.
Like,
That's a long wait.
and then we visited Neil's aunt in, she lives in the north of England. So we visited her for a couple of days. Her garden is amazing. I saw it 15 years ago and seeing it again, it has this little gate. So you feel like you're going into the secret garden.
Oh, that's sweet.
It has like multiple levels. There's different areas of it. There is a big pond. Like it's just, and I mean like big. It was incredible. And then we spent the last few days in Edinburgh, which was bonkers. I mean, it was great. Edinburgh is amazing.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful city, but the pace, and because you want to like see as many things as you
Oh,
can.
yeah.
So like we went to the castle and Neil took the kids to the dungeon so that I could like go hang out and just like check out the shops and stuff that was around. The next day we went to the Camera Obscura, which is right next to the castle, but it's really cool. It was created by this woman in like the 1860s or 70s. And the guy who did the explanation of it was really cool. So it was basically like it wasn't a camera that takes photographs, but it was like she used it to spy on people all over Edinburgh. And she had built one somewhere. And if Isaac from Camera Obscura ever hears this, I'm really sorry for bastardizing your talk, but you learned it and I didn't. He was rad. Yeah, he was talking about how like the city made her take it down because they didn't like her. And he kind of hinted at like there might be reasons why he didn't like her. So afterwards I was like, so she was a lesbian, right? And he's like, oh yeah. So it's this like badass lesbian from history created this wicked spy machine that still works. Like he was giving us a demonstration of it and we were able to see people from like really far away. It was wild. And then it has a whole
Wow.
bunch of other optical illusions in the building. So it's a really fun one. Like I think you can go any age. It's a great one to take kids to, but like I am an adult and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of the coolest things I think that I saw. And then we came home.
Well, so I was so I pulled up because I'm a, I eat a lot of food.
Sure.
So I just looked up like, the 12 best foods and drinks to try like in
Mm,
Scotland. And
okay.
so I have to ask these questions like
Okay, do it.
steak pie? Did you have steak pie?
I did not have steak pie, but I had a chicken ham and leek pie that I would marry if I could.
Mm,
It
mm.
was so freaking
That sounds
good.
good. Yeah, that sounds
And
good.
yeah, that was amazing. I also had, have you ever heard of Millionaire's shortbread?
No, but shortbread was number 12 on the list because I
Oh,
freaking
okay.
love shortbread.
Okay. So there's shortbread, which is amazing. And I had amazing shortbread while we were there. But then there's this thing called Millionaire shortbread, where it has a shortbread cookie base,
Mm,
and then it has a caramel layer, and
mm,
then it has a layer of chocolate on top.
wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
And then I tried one, and it was instead of caramel and milk chocolate, it was like a raspberry caramel consistency and white chocolate. And that was also
Oh,
very
yum.
good. Hmm.
See,
So
yum.
those were very good. What were the other
So
ones on the list?
so deep fried Mars bars.
No, didn't seek them out.
No.
I think that's more of a stunt food here because I remember hearing about
Uh
that even like 20 years ago. And so with something like that, you have to be careful because like how clean are their fryers if they've been cooking? This is any restaurant. If they've been cooking like
no, it's
fish all
like
day in it,
have you been to like a fair?
yeah.
Like
Yep.
they haven't changed their oil in 20 years.
No.
Scottish hog roast roll.
What's
I
that?
don't know. It
I
says
had a
rolls,
I had a
especially
breakfast
meat
roll.
filled rolls. It's
I
just a
had
freaking sandwich, I guess.
yeah, okay.
So, local seafood, Cullen skink.
Nope. Avoided that. My mother-in-law had some.
So, it's a wholesome Scottish soup made of smoked haddock, potatoes, and onions.
No, I had fish and chips once that was
Oh, yeah,
very
it's fish and
good,
chips,
and
yeah.
I had scampi and chips a few times, and the thing okay, so scampi, I think, is, like, something special there because they've somehow figured out how to deep fry shrimp in a way that, like, the coating detaches fully from the shrimp inside, but then there's also so it's, like, crunchy on the outside, but there's
Mm,
also, like, some, like, juice kind of on the inside. It's unreal.
wow.
It's
And
the
then
best.
haggis.
I
No.
don't like
No.
haggis. Neil
No.
loves it, and I love that for him. I mean, that's where he's from, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly. I
his
mean, you
heritage,
can't
it's not my heritage.
I learned, not to yuck somebody's yum.
That yum is a little bit yucky for
It
me.
is kinda
I've
yucky
tried
too.
it a
Yeah,
bunch of times
mm-mm.
over the years.
Nope,
I can't do it
nope.
anymore. So
Yeah.
but we had actually, when we were in England, we had a sticky toffee pudding that we're gonna be thinking about
Oh,
for
wow.
years and years. Like, we love a good
Yes.
sticky toffee pudding anyway. We still Neil and I still talk about a sticky toffee pudding that we had in Edinburgh in 2010 because we'd never had it before with custard too. That was very good. But we
Mm,
went to this place. If anybody ever goes to Kendal in the UK, go to a place called Bootleggers. We got there. They had a Biscoff sticky toffee pudding. So it's like sticky toffee pudding with vanilla ice cream and some crumbled Biscoff on it.
wow.
Ooh, it was
That sounds
good.
amazing. I had, when we were in the French Quarter, we popped into this restaurant, and they had, like, brunch until 2, and
Mm,
so the very first thing on the menu was lost bread,
what's
and I'm
that?
like, "What is this?" And it kinda sounded like, French toast,
Mhm,
and so I'm like, "Well, let's try this," and it was amazing. Like, it was not your typical French toast.
mhm,
It was made out of, like, French bread, so, the crust,
mhm,
I can't figure out what they did because it was crispy, but it wasn't hard crispy. It, like,
mhm.
melted in your mouth crispy, it was that good. And I dreamt
Interesting.
and I thought about it all day, and so the next day, I thought for sure we were gonna go there again, but no, that was not the plan. And I was
Mm,
sad because I really wanted it again. It
mhm.
was that good. So
Sometimes
I
you
love
just
it
need
when
it that second time.
yes, yes, and so I will be thinking about that for the rest of my life.
You know what that means? You gotta go back.
I gotta go back.
It's the only answer.
I know. I gotta go back just for the lost bread.
Mhm. I feel like the title of the episode might be The Lost Bread.
Lost bread or food. Food.
Yeah,
Food
we're
from
gonna
different places.
right?
Yep.
I ate everywhere.
Yes.
And then, all the while, Chris Bryant, something exciting has been happening within the
Yes.
Sapphic fiction community.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about SAS, the Sapphic Action Support Squad?
Yes, I would, but it's still kind of in the beginning stages. It is an organization, sort of like a bunch of us kind of got together and decided that we needed a little help. We needed help in our community for a lot of different people, for a lot of different reasons. So we have a newsletter that by the time this episode drops, the first newsletter will be out. And so
Mhm.
if you haven't signed up for it, we'll actually put the link in the show notes. So
Yep.
sign up for it and kind of check it out. And so it's kind of a way to, it's for both readers and writers. And the direction we're going in is to kind of like provide support, like help people. I think in the first episode, we explain, the effects that Amazon has on indie writers. We talk about how to ask your library for sapphic literature, the
Mm.
different ways. A lot of people just don't know that you can call your library or even go to the website
Mhm.
and search it out and just fill out a form there or talk to librarians. I mean, they are the warriors. They want our books in the they do
Yes.
not want to ban books. They do not want to censor books. They want to
Yeah.
help. They truly are the warriors for us. So by all means, I think well, I actually wrote the article about how to get in contact with your local librarian and get our books in front or at least in the library.
Mhm.
And there's like a little reader's nook where some of us have submitted a couple of reading things. I submitted a poem, and Avery Brooks has an excerpt from a book. And I think Anna Burke also submitted something. I don't know what it is because this is before the newsletter, so I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure. We have a link on how to, Melissa Braden talks about marketing. So we're just trying to help people be more proactive and how to help market themselves better, how to get through this with everybody trying to squash the LGBTQ community. Like, how can we stay in front of people? How to not let this get us down, emotionally,
Mhm.
and just stay ahead of everything. And Jay has given us a bunch of links. It's just this wealth of information, and it's just designed to help different aspects of our community. And one
Mhm.
of the things that I really want to get involved in is a lot of new writers, which I think would be kind of fun. And I don't know if this is going to happen, but I would like to do this, is to offer like hour Zooms, 1 hour Zooms for writers. Like, just jump in a Zoom and we just write. Like, I've done that a couple times with other writers, and you just sit there and you write. And if you have a question, you just ask the group, and you're just sitting there and you're writing for an hour, and it holds you accountable. Like, you sit there and you write for 1 hour. And if you have questions, you have people that are there that could help you. And it's just nice to be a part of something, because writing is such a lonely, like,
Solitary.
yeah, it's solitary. It really is. And so, and just now everybody feels so down and so alone. And this is just a way to kind of like keep us all together. And so that's one thing I really want to bring up, to our community. And also it would be a good place for readers to, have a voice other than just providing reviews for the sapphic literature. I kind of want to have like a reader's corner where people can submit whatever they want to, talk about whatever they want to about our community or books in general, or, any sort of interactions they've had with authors or other members of our community. And so it's just kind of like, it's just a way to get us to be more of a community and help each other out. It's just right now, it's just kind of a broad, yay, raw, let's get together and let's do some good things, together. That's kind of where we're at right now. It's brand new, but we are narrowing it down, and we're also growing. So sign up.
I know, it's really cool because I think, the American election happened.
Ugh.
I think there was just this impetus for a lot of people to do something. And I think you're right. Like, it is narrowing in like what the something is that's happening. But even the fact that it's just like people coming together to
Mhm.
try to affect positive change is really exciting. And, you and I were talking before we started recording how it really felt like there was this vibrant part of our community on Twitter. And when Twitter was kind of demolished on purpose, it's been hard to
Right.
get some of those kind of vibes back. So I'm excited to see what happens with this.
You were involved too.
I
Yes.
was. I had the pleasure and privilege of being in a panel that Lynn Ames moderated, basically just saying, "How are we doing? Like, given what's happening in these times, how are we all trying to meet the moment?" So it was me and those authors really just talking about, like, what are we doing to kind of cope these days? The authors answered a question around, like, is it changing the way you're writing? I answered a question around, is it changing the way I'm reading? I got so much out of being a part of that. It really, like,
Nice.
I'm gonna be honest, it really filled my cup to talk to
Oh, nice.
other people about how they're dealing with this. I think especially for me, because I'm not going to GCLS this year, I'm not going to
Mhm.
any events. It doesn't feel like a good idea to go across the border right now for me. I think
Right.
if I lived in the US already, I would still go because you're in the country. But right now, with the way things are with customs and detaining people at the border and all that,
Right.
it just doesn't. So being able to kind of have that conversation about how we're doing as a community, there's going to be so much good in this newsletter.
Mhm.
Please sign up for it, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. All right. Chris Bryant, what have you
Yes.
been reading or watching since the last time we talked?
So, as I mentioned before, last time we talked, I am watching The Last of Us. Remember, I couldn't get the
Mhm.
name right, but it's The Last of Us.
This is the end of The Last
At
of
the end of The
Us.
Last of Us, which makes more
Yeah.
sense. Don't listen to this part if you're not caught up. But I busted out laughing because, everybody watches. like all types of people watch The Last of Us.
Sure.
Obviously, the main character is queer, but a lot of people watch this show. And
Mhm.
I busted out because in the latest episode, Ellie finds out that her very recent girlfriend is pregnant. And she says, "Holy shit, I'm going to be a dad."
Aw.
I love that because I could
So
just
cute.
picture like half of America losing their shit
Mhm.
about it, about Ellie saying that.
So good.
It just made me laugh. I just busted out laughing just for that alone. I mean, just her whole entire process of like, okay, so the I forgot, this is terrible. I forgot the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend's name, but she's like, oh, so he's gonna be, he's gonna be in the baby's life and we're gonna be like a family, and oh my holy shit, I'm gonna be a dad. So it was just, the whole thing was just very, very sweet. So I'm watching that and Survivor. So here's something weird. It's like so many people are pissed at this season, and I don't know why.
Hmm.
Like TikTok is alive with all these conspiracy theories about how the show is edited and what we're supposed to believe. And, welcome to fake reality TV.
What do they think reality TV is? It's not a
Right.
documentary.
Right. I mean, entertaining the modern world, us, since Real World on MTV when that came out way back in early 90s, I think. I think it was early
Mhm.
90s. It might even be late 80s. I don't even remember for sure.
I mean, the show has producers.
Right. Why do you
What do
need
they
produce? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, Jeopardy.
Mhm.
I fucking love how queer Jeopardy is and how nerdy it is. I love it. And I'm finally caught up on all the episodes. So here's what I love. Okay, so
Mhm.
there was this sweet Liam, sweet Liam. He's 20
Mhm.
years old. He looks like he's 8. Like literally, he
Oh,
looks
no.
he's super tiny
He's
and
a
just like
baby.
he's adorable. He's super adorable. And he made it to the Tournament of Champions. He won the 5 episodes. You have to win 5 episodes
Nice.
to make it. So then this guy comes along and he takes him out. This cocky guy took him out. I was like, son of a bitch. Why did you do this to my sweet little Liam? I was very, very sad for Liam, but I'm happy because he did make it to the Tournament of Champions. So he will be back. But this cocky guy, I was mad at him. Like, because he was just so cocky about it. I mean, he's really, really smart. And I should be more appreciative of people with that much brain power.
Not if they're dicks, though.
Yeah, I know. But so the very next day, like, here comes the cocky man, blah, blah, blah. And haha. So very next day he lost.
All
So
right, so
I
he's not
know.
going to the Tournament of
No, he's not
Champions.
going to the tournament. And I love shit like that. Like, I love a good karma story. Like, who else is this emotionally involved in Jeopardy? Like me. Like, I am that involved in Jeopardy.
You know what? It's a good question because I actually bet we would both be surprised by how many people do. There probably are many.
Like, I need to find out, like, who else out there is a Liam fan. Like, he was just so sweet. And here's the shitty part. So, like, people on Jeopardy are just very awkward, some of them. It's just, a lot of people are shy, introverted people, smart people are normally pretty shy. And I think, like, when you're that smart, I've been around smart people like that, super, super smart, and they're very, very uncomfortable in social situations because I think that
Yeah.
they're around dumb people like me. And it's just different. And so what I did not like to see was that the other contestants who lost to Liam were congratulating each other, but they weren't congratulating him. And that pissed me off.
That's rude.
Yes, it was totally, I saw it twice on 2
Mhm.
episodes at the very end, when it shows, him winning. And they were like, the 2 other contestants were just like, oh, good, good job. Blah, blah, blah. But they did not give him the time of day. And I don't know if it
Mm-mm.
was an editing thing where they just didn't include it, but I was upset. So I'm like,
No.
Liam, all the way, Liam.
Yep.
Anyway, there's a show on Netflix called Ransom Canyon.
Okay.
Look, watch this series to appreciate Minka Kelly's beauty for an entire season for no other reason. Like, do you
Okay.
know who she
Is
is?
the rest of it any good? No, I
Like,
don't.
okay, so she is a top 10 for me. Like, who is she? Where did she come from? Like, this whole series is like a soap opera. It's
Mhm.
entertaining. It has cowboys, love triangle. It's not queer, but she's absolutely lovely. Like
It's
her
not queer, but you
character.
are.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that's all that
Right.
matters.
Right. but she was like, she's lovely. She's lovely. She's like in her 40s, the love
Mm,
interests are in their 50s and 40s. So I mean it's a little bit for
mhm.
an
Hang
older.
on.
Yeah,
I
you
gotta
got to
look her
look this
up.
up. She's
I have to.
married to the lead singer of Imagine Dragons. Cuz there's a part of me that's like,
Huh.
"Oh, I hope she's queer." But no. No, she's
Oh,
married.
maybe
She's
she
very
is.
pretty. She's very pretty. Yeah, that's true. Maybe.
We don't know.
She's cute. She's very, see, dark hair, dark
Oh,
eyes.
that
That's
one.
yes. Dark hair, dark
She's
eyes.
she's kind of one of those, "Hey, it's that guy" people, although I have no idea what I saw her in.
I don't know. Like I was like, "Whoa, hello, who are you?"
She has a lot of yeah, she has 100 credits to her name. Yeah,
So she's been around to ever. Like
yeah, go
how
look her up. She's
how
just,
do
"Hey,
I
it's
not
that
know
guy."
her? Like how do I not know her? It's a lot, probably a lot of straight stuff, I'm guessing. Anyway, she's super cute. And so I watched that and it was entertaining. I mean,
Nice.
kept me entertained. So what about you? What have you been watching?
Okay. I have been reading a lot. So I finally finished a nonfiction book because it turns out, as much as I say, oh, nonfiction is poison for my brain, I start to read and 5 minutes later my brain goes, eh. Turns out the exception is unless I'm on a plane. Because
Right.
I think the noise on a plane is so loud, it kind of just drowns everything out and it just like calms my ADHD brain, which is kind of
Yes.
amazing. So I read the second half of a book I'd been picking away at for ever and ever and ever. It's called Strong Men, Mussolini to the Present by Ruth Ben-Ghiat. And she is a historian. I forget which impressive university she works out of. I think it might be Princeton.
Mm,
But she's a scholar of Italian fascism. And this book came out. It's not a new book. She's had it out for a little while, but it's kind of, I think it's gotten more attention since the election. Can't imagine why.
mm,
So she talks about the different, like how strong men tend to come to power, the tactics that they use while they're in power, and then what has led to the downfall of many of them. I will say sometimes it was a grim read for sure. There were some pretty horrific
mm,
things that happened out of certain dictatorships or
mm,
autocracies or, whatever you want to call those governments. But I think the main takeaway and the thing that I personally actually found comforting in reading it is that these governments never last forever. Even if they last
right.
for decades, they never last forever. And I think that's an important lesson to take these days. But then once I was done that, I was like, oh
Right. That's heavy.
my God. It was so funny. So I finished reading it on the plane and I started reading one of the books that I'll be recommending. And I'm not going to say what it is yet, but
Nope.
my oldest said, so what are you? I said, well, I finished a book about dictators. So I think now I need to read a book about people falling in love. And she said, what about a book about dictators falling in love? And I was like, yeah. And then
Eh,
falling into a volcano, maybe.
right.
No, thank you.
Burn.
No. But one of the things that did happen while we were away, we were actually in Scotland when the UK Supreme Court handed down a ruling. I don't know if you heard about this, but they handed down a ruling saying that there were only two sexes and basically saying
Yes.
that for the purposes of, I think it's called the Equality Act, that only biological women can count as women. Basically saying trans people aren't real. As a gender fluid person, it was infuriating. I'm not going to lie. And I've written a piece that's going up behind a paywall at Smart Bitches After Dark on the Smart Bitches Trashy Books website, if that's something that you're inclined to pay for. We do good work over on that site. If you're not, that's okay, because I'm going to tell you roughly the story here of what happened, which is it it made me so angry and it was so disheartening. And then I didn't realize that J.K. Rowling had actually donated 70,000
Oh,
pounds
Jesus.
to the lawsuit, and it made me so mad. And then I was like, fuck her. I know what she would hate. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to read some super queer, explicit Harry Potter fanfic. So fuck you. Cuz I like to spite read sometimes. So I read 3. Of
Damn.
course I wanted to
3.
keep it sapphic.
Mhm.
Technically 4, cuz 2 of them were part of the same. It was like a one book and then a follow on. I love an age gap story.
Yep.
So I kind of wanted to keep going with Hermione because I think I talked to you a few months ago about reading like Hermione and Bellatrix Lestrange.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so the only thing with that pairing is I read one that was amazing where it turned out that like Bellatrix was actually a good guy. And then I read another one where I didn't find out until the very last page. And then I was like, oh my God, where it's Bellatrix wasn't becoming a good guy. Hermione was becoming a villain. And I
Yes,
didn't want,
yes.
like, it was so well written, but also I was like, no, 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 no. I want their, no, that's not, I'm not a dark romance person. That's not where I want to go right now. So I said, okay, I'm going to try. There's somewhere it's Hermione with Draco Malfoy's mom, Narcissa Malfoy, which I think is hilarious. And I read some really, really good stuff. Stuff that frankly was better written than any of the later Harry Potter books.
Wow.
And so the first one is called Closing the Distance, and it was jointly written by Belladonna and Bloom, and I don't know if it's pronounced Yanana or Yanana. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it's written by these two authors. It's 74,000 words.
Wow.
Here's the problem with this one. When I try to explain it, it sounds really stupid. I know this because my 13-year-old asked and I told them what it was about, and they're like, yep, that does sound stupid. And I was like, but it's good. It's good. So the idea is
Sure.
Hermione burnt out after working at the Ministry of Magic for a while because of course she's an overachiever and they were trying to like work her to death to get a whole bunch of extra stuff done. Now she has a magical artifact shop on Diagon Alley. Her former colleague from the Ministry of Magic, Narcissa, shows up one day. She's like, I was cleaning out Malfoy Manor and I found these bracelets. And then somehow Hermione attaches a bracelet on each one of them. And now they're stuck until they can figure out what magic will open it. Such a dumb premise, but it was so good. I had fun reading it. Really, it's just a story about building trust when it's two people who don't like to get vulnerable. So
Uh.
that one was probably the cutest. And then I read, so it's a two-parter. The first one is called The House of Black. The second one is called Cutting the Pattern by somebody named Calliopeia 419. It's set in our world. Like technically, it didn't have to use any of the Harry Potter characters, but also again, fuck J.K. Rowling. I liked this a
Right.
lot. So Hermione is working on a PhD in literature. She needs more money. Her thesis advisor sets Hermione up with a job at her sister Narcissa's fashion house, the House of Black. Narcissa
Mm.
is this like she doesn't like to give interviews. She doesn't like to appear in public. Kind of scares the shit out of Hermione at first, but then it becomes clear relatively quickly that they're both quite attracted to each other. Very low angst, incredibly slow burn.
Mm.
And I saved it to my favorites folder so I can go back to it.
Wow.
Like it was so good. I think somebody should find this author and pay her to turn it into a published book. Because you really just need to like swap who the characters are and you're pretty much there. The thing that's kind of cool with this one is that Narcissa, Bellatrix, and Draco are all just like really good people. They're all just really good people. It's a fluffy
Wow.
blanket book. And Cutting the Pattern, the second part. So the first one was a House of Black is 102,000 words. Cutting the Pattern is 82,000.
Wow.
It's just a big old fluffy blanket of a book. It's that like perfect, like you just want to like snuggle in on a fall day with a hot chocolate, or you want those vibes because you're having a shitty day. It's a perfect
Right.
one for that. Okay, but then the last one was actually the best one.
Ow.
It's 2,000 words. It's called
No.
Extinction by Rubicon.
200,000 words.
It's 200,000 words.
You said 2,000.
Oh no, I was wrong. It's 200,000 words. I'm really glad you're looking at the outline to fix that
Right.
for me. I think it's one of the best things I've read in the last year or two. It is so fucking
Wow.
good. So this one takes place after the events of the original series. Hermione works at the Ministry of Magic. She's advocating for magical creatures. Narcissa Malfoy works in the Department of Mysteries, pulls Hermione in on a project tracking unusual Dementor activity across the UK. They bring Ron and Harry with them. This is like, it's part hiking trip. So it's not just a romance. There is a romance, but it's like
Mm.
part hiking trip. It's part mystery, part romance, very enemies to lovers.
Mm.
And I think it does a phenomenal job of asking questions like, what makes a villain? What is the difference between a
Oh.
good guy and a bad guy? And it actually has restorative justice as a theme, which I think is super interesting because you look at Narcissa, and because this takes place after the events of the books, did she participate in torture? No. Did she watch people being tortured in her home? Yes. How do you make up for that?
Mm.
You know, what are the steps that you take to live a better life? I started reading this on the plane on the way home from Scotland, and then I just continued to read it the whole rest of the weekend once I was back. I have not been sucked in by a story like that since I read the fanfic version of Truth and Measure the first time. I
Wow.
know I'm going to be reading this one at least once a year because it was just so freaking good. Honestly, if it wasn't fanfic, it would probably be one of my official recommendations, but I already have two, so that's too many. So that's just in the what I was
Yes.
reading. Let's not be extra. All right, Kris,
You're
what is
extra.
your speaking? I am.
You are.
Speaking of official recommendations, what is yours?
So a lot of people have already seen this. It is an 8-part comedy drama miniseries on Netflix called The Four Seasons.
Okay, so I've seen the name come up a lot and I don't know anything about it. So I'm really excited to hear about this.
Okay, it just dropped. It dropped May 1st, and I binged it. Not gonna lie, I binged it.
You sure did.
I did. And the cast is brilliant. Tina Fey and a few others created this series, and it actually stars Tina Fey and I don't know how to pronounce his name. Will, is it Forte?
Oh yeah, Will Forte.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
didn't know if it's Fort or Forte. Yeah, he's also yeah, so oh,
Okay, so what did I see?
oh,
Oh, he was promoting it. He didn't talk about it very much, but he was promoting it on Hot Ones. Do you ever
yeah.
watch Hot Ones on YouTube? It's the chicken
No.
wing, the hot wing,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the
I
hot
have
chicken
seen
wing show.
that. Okay, yeah, I have
Yeah,
done that.
go watch his episode of that.
Really? Okay, I'll
He
have to watch that.
seems the loveliest and he did so well. But yeah, that's why he was on there. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he's on it and Steve Carell's on there
Mhm.
and Coleman Domino. Domino? Do you know him? Well, I know him because he played Victor from Fear the Walking Dead. But he's been in so much lately. I mean, you would
I'm
recognize
looking
him
him
right
up
away.
too.
Yeah, you would know him.
This is the
So,
episode where we just keep looking people.
right.
Do you mean Dominic Coleman?
Oh, did I say it backwards? No.
You said Coleman Domino.
Did I say it backwards? I
Do you mean
did
this
I?
guy?
No. No,
Oh.
I'm right. Coleman Domino. Look that up. Colman.
Oh, it's because I put an E.
You put an E in. Yeah, most people would.
Oh, very different. Very
Yes.
different
Very
looking.
different.
First of all, one is black and one is white.
Right?
But they're both roughly similar ages, I think.
So here's the synopsis. The decades-long friendship between three married couples is tested when one divorces, complicating their tradition of quarterly weekend getaways.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how much I love relationship movies slash shows. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this is all about relationships and how sticky and messy they are once you get past like the shininess of what other people perceive your relationship to be. So like everybody thinks, oh, you have the perfect relationship, but behind closed doors, you really don't. And so all three of these couples have their strengths and their weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like people change, marriage is hard work. Some people opt out, while some people believe it's worth fighting for, and some people have different ways of making it work. And so
Mm-hmm.
this whole show, 8 episodes, encompasses all that, and it goes through all the characters. So Tina Fey and Will play Kate and Jack. And honestly, I mean, Kate's kind of a bitch. I'm not gonna lie, she's kind of a
Yeah,
bitch.
she can play that.
Yeah. And she's still funny and everything, but Jack is kind of a pushover putz kind of guy. And I
Mm-hmm.
think she just kind of she's done with him being a pushover. She wants
Mm-hmm.
she wants somebody to kind of like take control and make better decisions and just not get pushed around and take advantage of. And so she's just
Mm-hmm.
done. But everybody's like, "Oh, you guys have the best marriage," and she's like, "Really? Okay." And then there's Anne and Nick. Anne and
Mm-hmm.
Nick. I said that too
Thank
fast.
you.
Anne and
I'm
Nick.
glad
Yes,
you
so
did
it's
that. Yep.
yes. Anne and Nick. So the whole series starts with the gang getting together to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick and the guys go out for a walk, and he says he's going to ask Anne for a divorce after the weekend. What? What?
Yeah.
So Danny and Claude are the married queer couple. Like
Mm-hmm.
all the friends have a problem with Claude. like, because he is this flamboyant Italian happy gay man, and he's always positive, and he drives the rest of the friends just absolutely bonkers because
They're
they're just
miserable.
bitchy, miserable Gen Xers, like, for sure.
Mhm.
And nobody wants to be with him because he's always so happy, like, "Oh, let's go do this, let's do this," and they're all like, "No." Like, "Oh, you take Claude. I'm gonna go to the record store. You no." And, like, nobody wants to be alone with him because he's just so happy, and they just don't like to be around him. But he is absolutely adorable and sweet, and he loves Danny, his husband. He loves him so much, and he wants to
Mhm.
take care of him, and Danny kinda has a heart problem. So he's always like watching him, making sure he's eating
Mhm.
the right foods and not eating the bad things, like he orders a lobster roll with butter and he says, "No, take the butter away," type thing. And so he's just
Mhm.
always looking out for him and like he is like the perfect person, like the perfect husband. You want this person to take care of you.
Yeah.
And it's just like everybody has their problems. And in this you see this like everybody has problems, but then something happens and every couple rethinks their relationship and maybe their marriage isn't as bad as they think it is and maybe the little problems are just that they're just little. So I love this series. I think it's funny, it's heartwarming, it's heartbreaking, it's queer friendly, it's queer positive. There's some stereotyping but it's also very relatable. So that was my official recommendation. It's on Netflix right now. I think it's number 1 on, like, for the
Whoa.
shows and stuff like that. It's everywhere. You can't miss it. You can't, and it's here's the deal. Here's the funny thing.
Mhm.
I was watching it to watch it. I totally didn't even think about the queer characters in it until episode 6, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I could totally recommend this." Because I loved it so much, and it
Mhm.
was just so natural just to see this couple, and it was just natural for me, and it was natural for this nobody said anything. It was
Yeah.
not a negative thing. It was so positive, and I literally because I had watched something else, for a recommendation, which I will save for a later date. I could have cheated and done 2 recommendations, but
You still could.
no. I will save it for, like, when I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot we have to record." I'll
Mhm.
save it for that. But this one was just so much better, and I just it does have some funny scenes, it has some really, like, sad
Mhm.
scenes. So it's and basically, it's every 2 episodes is a season of the year. 2
Mm.
episodes in spring, and it's, for their spring trip, and then 2 episodes in summer
That's
for the
cool.
summer trip, and 2 episodes in fall, and 2 episodes in winter. And I nailed the ending. I was like, "I bet you this happens," and sure as shit it did. And I just laughed. Like, it's just such a good series. Everybody should watch it.
Nice.
Even I loved it. Like, you should watch it. It's really good.
Alright. Does Danny
Yeah.
die?
Who the fuck? No. Stop it.
Okay.
No.
Listen, I just need to
Danny's
make
awesome. Yeah.
I just wanna
Danny's
make
awesome. I
sure the
love it.
queer characters don't die.
Queer
That's all.
characters don't die. No, his heart's fine. He gets a little surgery and everything's fine.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah, it's sweet. And like
Good.
he finally recognizes, and for once he stands up and he's like, "Look, quit dogging my husband." He finally like stands up and says to his friends, "Y'all are
Love.
so negative. Like my husband's the greatest thing ever." And it's just really sweet. It's very
I
sweet.
love that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my official recommendation. What is your official recommendation? Because you have two.
I do have 2, because here's the thing. I couldn't decide because I
Yes.
love them both so much, and then I remembered, wait, it's our podcast, we make the rules. We get to decide if we ever
Right.
wanna have 2 recommendations.
You can do it too.
That's right, I won't do it very often, but I think it is a special time, and actually, the part that I think is hilarious is that it's books by the 2 British indie authors who have first names that are Claire. So, the first one is The Princess Match by Claire Lydon, and yes, I know, I've recommended books by Claire Lydon before, but I actually think this is the best one. I'm gonna spoil my own what I have to say about it. I absolutely adored it. This is the one that I started reading on the plane after I finished Strong Men because I just needed to read about people falling in love and kissing. So the story starts with Ashley Woods. She is the football captain for England. She is also on, I think the team is called the Royal Ravens. But when it opens, she's receiving an MBE award. So it's like, you got to show up, you got to get your little pin to your
Mm.
lapel. curtsy or whatever it is for the royal who's doing it. She thinks it's going to be Prince Michael, but it's actually Princess Victoria who is there.
Ooh, ooh.
And even just from that like very first meeting, like you can just
I
feel the
love that.
chemistry there. And Ash is like, is she like my gator feels like it's going off? That doesn't make sense. She's had a boyfriend for 3 years. But guess what? She's gay, and so's her
Ooh.
boyfriend.
Oh.
Her boyfriend is actually one of her best friends. He's been helping her basically tell the right story to the press for the last few years. A few weeks later, or however many weeks later, they both are on vacation in, I can't remember where. It doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter.
It doesn't matter but they bump into each other at a club, and Victoria invites Ash to come the next day to this like exclusive event that her friends who are like Swedish royalty that they're hosting. And Ash gets there, and it's like, oh, everybody here is queer. And, they both kind of open up about their feelings. We think there's something here. And Victoria does this thing that's, I think, is just incredible. And she's like, I want to kiss you, but I'm going to wait. We're going to wait until we're actually able to like spend more time
That's
together.
no.
Oh, it works
Don't
so
tease.
well for
What?
building that tension.
Claire.
Ash is an out and proud lesbian. Victoria wants to be out, but she has to bring her mother, who's the queen, around because Victoria is the one who's in line for the throne, not her brother.
Oh. Oh.
Right. And spoiler, it's a romance. So they're like together, and somebody outs them to the press. And Victoria has to decide how hard is she going to fight tradition so that she can be with the one person she's ever really found happiness with. Okay, here's the thing. I wouldn't call this one a slow burn because it's not really like they're together by the midpoint. So I think that's, pretty normal. But I think that build is so good because like I said, there's this like, look, I want to kiss you, but we're not going to do it here. We're going to wait until it can be like a place where we can really make it count. But
every kiss counts. Come on.
think about like, okay, who would be as busy as a princess? Turns out a professional athlete in season
That's
is
true. Yeah.
also
Right.
very busy. So they really can't see each other very often. And so we see there's a lot of texting between them, and there's like way more than even makes it on the page. And they are able to see each other in person every once in a while, but they can't see each other alone for a while.
Oh.
And so it does this really delicious build of tension in a way that's almost, I don't really want to compare it to Jane Austen because that's a stretch, but like that idea of, longing looks and maybe a little pinky goes out and touches some skin, like just that kind of like, oh, okay. Okay. The chemistry is there. It's there. And so then when the first kiss finally happens, it's fucking great. Like it really, it's a very good one. And then when they are finally able to sleep together, also very good because that tension has been building for months. Also, it's, I started reading it on the plane, but I finished it when I was in Scotland, which was really fun because there's like a part of the book where, because Victoria is the princess, she takes Ash to Balmoral so she can go meet her grandmother. So there's this like, we're hanging out and banging in
Super cool.
Scotland.
Yeah.
We're meeting the family in Scotland. Isn't it great? Okay. I'm also glad I brought up the grandmother because she's my favorite side character. Like, I love a good grandmother side character. And it depends. There's different flavors of them, right? Because like
Right.
Robin Alexander writes the really sassy, really hilarious grandmothers. And this one is like less sassy, but like forced to be reckoned with, pays attention to more than people give her credit for. And she's just fantastic. And there are a lot of side characters because, there's Ash's teammates.
Oh, yeah.
There's, both of their parents, Victoria's brother, staff, because, the royal family has staff and they each have like publicity people and all this. But the grandmother for me, I went back and I read it all again today because I read like all those fanfics and then my other recommendation in between. And we went on vacation and I was jet lagged, and it's always good to refresh your memory. And I noticed as I was reading again, I was like, oh yeah, grandma, you're the best. You're just wonderful.
Nana.
Right? And like mother of the queen. So like there's a lot of gravitas to her opinions.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like, is this a good depiction of royals? I have no idea. I know I'm a Canadian and we're part of the Commonwealth, but I don't really follow the royals. And so I don't have enough information to have a strong opinion around how well the royals are depicted in this, and I don't really care. But something I did appreciate was the way even people like me could appreciate how the concept of tradition and how that conflicts with Victoria wanting to live authentically as an out lesbian. It's a really important core theme in
Mm.
this book. I think it's handled really well. It is used to really build up a lot of that narrative tension. And, as much as, I often praise some of those the lighter romances, they don't have the third act breakup. This is a book where I'm actually glad there was a third act breakup because I think it was necessary for them. I think it was
Mm.
necessary for Victoria's character growth. I think it was necessary for even some of the other side characters in it. I really, really liked it. And it's also not the kind of third act breakup that's gonna like ruin your day or anything like that. You like, when you read a romance and it's like so angsty that you're like,
Yeah.
well, fuck. Like it's not one of those. It was a really good balance. Like I think the tightrope was walked perfectly on that one.
Nice.
So I had a really hard time putting this down, which I mean, I was on vacation. I should have had a very
Right. I was
easy
thinking,
time
wow.
putting
Yeah.
it down. But it was just so good. I do, like I said at the beginning, I think this is Claire Lydon's best book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It went directly to my favorites folder so I can find it again easily. And I had just as much fun reading it the second time as I did
Oh,
the first time.
nice.
So I highly recommend it. And now I take a little drink of water.
Hmm.
Whew, okay. But I did say there were two Claires who released books recently.
Woo.
I did not know that Claire Ashton was even working on a new book. And so I get back from my trip and my friends are like, "Oh my God, are you so excited about the new Claire Ashton?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I got an email that was like, "Hey, did you want a review copy?" And I went, "Oh my God, yes." Because Claire Ashton wrote a book called Discovering Nicola. It is an enemies to lovers, Ice Queen romance. It has two women in their 50s, and both of them are embracing a same sex relationship for the first time. So, this is the third book in the series that started with Meeting Millie, which you recommended,
Yes.
and Tempting Olivia, which was one of my best books of
Right.
last year. It's a standalone book. It works fine as it is. And I know this because I never read Meeting Millie. And my memory is very bad. So I've forgotten all of the finer details of Tempting Olivia. And
Mm.
it didn't matter. That was all fine. But for people who have read the earlier books, you've met these characters before. Nicola Albright is Charlotte's like perfectionist, icy, almost bitchy, like super closed off mother
Mm.
from Meeting Millie.
Okay.
And Gita Sakdeva is that like warm, loving mother that Olivia has
Mm.
in Tempting Olivia. And Gita gets along with everybody except Nicola.
Of
So,
course.
as at the beginning of this book, we see Gita's left her husband, and we kind of get hints that this was like we find out at the end of Tempting Olivia that this was likely going to
Mm.
happen. That the groundwork for this book was laid.
Right.
I just forgot about it, and I didn't know she was writing it. So again, what a delight and a surprise! It felt like a gift. So Gita has left her husband because she was so lonely. She had been a stay-at-home mom and she
Mm.
just wants she wants joy. She wants to experience feelings again. She wants sex. She wants she's not dead. She's just in her mid 50s. And so she left him, but now she's desperately lonely and also she's kind of afraid of her family because of how much she's disappointed them. She's always had this role and now she's stepped
Oh.
out of it and she's made her ex-husband unhappy and all that. And now, like the one person who drives her nuts, Nicola, has moved down the street because Nicola's divorced too. And she's like, so it's kind of cute. There's just like, oh fuck, I have to deal with her now too. Like she just,
I
it's
got my own
great.
problems.
Right? Gita never understood why Nicola was always so dismissive and rude with her. And she doesn't approve of how Nicola treats her daughter, Charlotte, who's like the loveliest, even if she is like kind of clumsy and
Mhm.
absent-minded. But one day, Gita's mother has yet another rant for her about like, why can't you just take him back? Why can't you just go back to him? You're lonely, get a dog. Like all this, and I'm like, fuck you,
Damn.
mom. Like, what?
Right.
So
What?
rude.
Yeah.
And she takes herself for a walk and a cry. And then Nicola stumbles on Gita, who is like sunshine all the time, crying on a bench and is like, what? is happening, and actually stops to comfort her, and it starts this really unlikely friendship because it turns out they have a little more in common than they would have thought, both having, walked away from marriages,
Mhm.
and it doesn't take too long before it turns into more than that because they're both attracted to each other.
Mm.
So their lives they're too complicated for more than a fling, but like what if something real could build? What if, if they can just be honest with themselves, with each other and everyone around them. And oh my God, I love this book. Oh my God. It just, this book ruined me. I had no idea how much I needed it. It took
Aw.
me like through all the feelings. The chemistry between them is insane. And I think it's because they both learned that, like, oh, you are not who I thought you were. I even like at the beginning of the book, there's a quote when it's following Nicola's perspective, and it says she was forged of pragmatism. She's talking about herself. She was forged of pragmatism, proficiency, and ambition, but with Gita, it was like she became someone else. The woman's mere presence questioned her, holding up a mirror so that Nicola flinched and didn't like what she saw.
Mm.
And like having that reaction led to some not amazing behavior. I thought I knew why that was, because on the surface it's like, oh well, she's just this like really good loving person, and she loves everybody and everybody loves her, and so it makes me uncomfortable because I'm not like that. But there's so much more to that and why she has those reactions. And when I read why, I maybe did a little squeal because it was so good. And I just loved, like, as they go from the friendship to the fling and then the romantic relationship. It's so good. Like, Gita is not a pushover. Like, Nicola is a very kind of like strong personality, and Gita stands up to her, and Nicola loves it. And then on the flip side, Gita is really surprised to learn, like, oh,
Mm.
Nicola's not just some like boring, like she's incredibly good at what she does for a job, but she's not just like a boring career person. She can be very thoughtful. She can be quite exciting to be around, and she's very passionate. I think I say something about ice queens earlier? I can't remember if I
I don't
did.
think so.
Okay, well that's good because I've been going back and forth on whether I even think this is an ice queen romance with Nicola
Mm.
as the ice queen, and I'm not really sure. It doesn't feel cut and dried to me. Other people might have a different opinion than I do on that
Mm.
one, but yes, she is closed off.
It kinda sounds like it the way you're describing her, though.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So I found her journey to be the most compelling, although they both have very excellent character arcs. So
Mm.
Nicola is a very, very powerful lawyer. She's really able to basically get her way most of the time. You don't see her faltering in very many conversations in the workplace, even like in the office. Like she's used to getting her own way. But then we also kind of like see more into her backstory as she shares more information with Gita, especially. And we learned that a lot of it is that she had to make a lot of sacrifices
Mm.
to like make her career happen because her family needed that, and how that then impacted her relationship with a lot of the people in her life, including her family. And so it was really interesting because it was basically like, is Nicola an ice queen because Gen X women were lied to when they were told that they could have it all? And actually, you can't have it all. There have to be trade offs, and the trade offs have consequences. And I haven't really seen that kind of a take before. Like, it's possible she still would have ended up, that way, even if there hadn't been the same circumstances in the family, but that's, something that we didn't see. I will say I did, in a couple of spots, wanna shake the shit out of her. Like, I really loved her, she was my favorite character, but I was so infuriated with how she treats Charlotte earlier in the novel.
Mm.
In Tempting Olivia, we learn that Charlotte is diagnosed with ADHD. That's why she's clumsy and absent-minded and has time blindness and can't necessarily follow through with tasks, kind of the same way as some other people do. And Nicola doesn't know that yet. And so, as somebody who has ADHD and is a mother, I just got so mad at her. At like, there's one scene in particular, and anybody who's read the book probably knows what I'm talking about, where it's just like, oh, ah, ah," it's terrible. But I actually really appreciated how it was dealt with later on in the story. because it does show how, like, once people have more information and they make more of an effort, they can change and be a better support to the people in their family that have neurodiverse situations going on. Also, this book talks about menopause, like, just
No.
flat out, because they're both in their mid-50s. They're both out of perimenopause. They are fully into menopause. Nicola takes hormone therapy. Gita has hot flashes. They talk openly about what they do to keep their bodies in line, which I think is really important.
It
And also
is.
shows
Yeah.
like these are passionate sexual women. These are like, you can still have sex even when you're in menopause. Surprise! But we don't see that very often in sapphic
Right.
romance. I can't think of very many books that have both characters over the age of 50.
Right.
Can you? There can't be many.
No, I think 40s. I think is late 40s. I know some.
40s for sure.
How old are the characters for starting from scratch? How old were they?
Oh God, I haven't read that in forever. I think in their 40s. So I think both of the characters in number 6 by Lee Winter. Well, one of them's in her 60s. I think the other one's in
Yeah.
her 50s.
What was the one? I think I recommended, well, the one, it was a mother, so
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, as
yeah,
we're doing this, kind of going like, which one? Or is it that, like, that's how few there are.
right.
So it was really cool. Not just that they were both in their mid-50s, but it's also like it's directly addressed. So I think honestly for me, the best, absolute best part of this with Nicola is seeing how the way she's able to open up and love Gita,
Mhm.
it's like she's pulling off all these parts of herself. She's so guarded, but piece by piece, she strips away the walls that she put up, choosing to get completely vulnerable with Gita in a way that she's never done with anybody before. And it was so beautiful. And I felt that one in my body. There was
Aw.
actually like one scene in particular. When I woke up the next day, I actually went back 5 chapters so I could read it again. Because I wasn't
Wow.
even done the book, but I had to go back and read that scene again because I don't think I've read vulnerability quite like that before. And I think that is a huge part of what makes this book special. I think I've said this a couple times so far this year, but Discovering Nicola is my favorite book of
Wow.
2025 so far. And again, like I said, I know I said this a couple times, but like, can we just say what a good year it's been for sapphic
Nice.
romance so
Good.
far? There are so many good books coming out, but this one is so good that not only has it gone in my favorites folder, which I know I've said a lot this episode.
Yeah, you filled it this episode.
Mhm. I'm gonna buy a paperback copy.
Wow.
That's how, like, I don't do it very often, but when I think about like, okay, what are the books I need to have a copy of in case Amazon collapses and deletes all of my books off my Kindle?
I think maybe we should ask Claire to send you a signed copy.
Well, we'll see. If she feels like it, that's fine. But I also don't mind buying a copy. That's how much I love it. I don't mind
That's
buying it
amazing.
myself.
I think it'd be
Mhm.
kind of fun. Like, okay. So secretly, Claire, reach out to me because I'll buy the copy and we'll send it to Tara. I'm like, okay, thank you. Birthday present. Hit me up.
Okay,
Hit me up.
hit her up. That is all for this episode. Thank
That is it.
you so much for joining us for this longer, slightly longer than usual episode. We had a lot to catch up on.
We
This is what
did.
happens. We hadn't
This
talked in a
is,
month,
and it's Monday.
and it's Monday. If you've enjoyed the show and you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you subscribe on your podcast app. If you have a friend that you think would like what we have to say or would want to hear any of the recommendations we made today, please send the link to them. And if you do want to support us, we have a link in our show notes to our coffee.
Or if you want to connect with us on your favorite social media sites, we have links in the show notes for that too. And also, we're going to put the SAS newsletter link in the show
Yes.
notes for you to sign up for that. Or you can just search for Queerly Recommended or just email us at podcast@queerlyrecommended.com. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
She is with her sexy voice. Zoom is in
Recording in
progress.
progress.
Okay, maybe it's not sexy.